to talk to you, the regular Joes.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joes podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
What's going on, everybody? Lots out there. Lots out there in the world.
Well, lots going on.
I meant like our world, but there's a whole shitload in the real world.
Yeah.
It's just a train wreck.
I was so excited and now so disappointed that breakdancing was in the Olympics and now out of the Olympics.
Well, so is
wait,
boxing.
It's not going to be in the Olympics anymore?
No.
I think it was. Sometimes they have what do they call it? Like test things. They don't call it that, but they call it something else.
Okay.
But boxing
so when
will be
did they
out.
add it? I assumed that they added it when people cared.
This was the first year that they had, which
Seriously,
makes no sense.
You would have thought
it was
1980 would
86
have been.
is when they would have added
That's what
it.
I thought. When I heard it, I was like,
makes
is this
absolutely
something that
no
they
sense.
added in like 1989 thinking they were going to be relevant and they just,
Well, did you see the Australian breakdancer?
I didn't.
Was
watch
that a real thing? I thought that was
No.
a joke. I
That
saw
was a
30
real thing.
seconds.
And she literally got a 0 score. They gave her a 0.
I would have gone in to break. Well, not for America. I would have gone for like Guam.
And the Olympics are so stringent about like footage that you can't find it on the internet.
I did see it someplace.
Yeah,
and I
well,
don't know where.
it's like there are literally videos on YouTube that people took with their cell phones off their TVs just because it was so bad.
It was ridiculous. Well, we got to thank Tom Cruise for closing out the ceremonies. The great Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He zip-lined or whatever into the stadium.
He repelled, I think. Repelled into the stadium to take
it
the
looked
flag.
didn't look complicated, but 99% of the people would not do what he did. He had like a rope in a bag, and he was like sort of fast roping. Crazy. Anyway, but I love Tom Cruise. And then I guess he drove a motorcycle and then climbed, then took a plane with the motorcycle to L.A. and then climbed the Hollywood sign because the next Olympics summer is going to be in L.A.
So, is this something like you ask Tom Cruise to do, or you can't say no when he asks you?
Yeah, when he says, I'm doing it. I'm going to do you all a favor.
Because no one says no to Tom Cruise. It's like...
He was at the Olympics like a lot.
Oh,
They
I know
showed
that,
him
but
a
I'm
lot.
just saying. It's
Well,
like,
so was Snoop Dogg, but Snoop Dogg did not repel
down
Well,
to
I
the
don't think
stadium.
Snoop Dogg would repel. But yeah, I'm wondering, like, is he just because he was there filming, he wanted to do it? Yeah, I don't know.
Because
Well, I think
not
it's
like,
the Hollywood
if,
tie-in.
If the next Mission
Yeah.
Impossible was coming out like in November, I could see that. Is it just I
He's
guess
a fan
I
of
think
that
it's
stuff.
just because the next Olympics is in LA, they wanted like a really LA thing.
okay.
So they had him
Maybe,
do the Hollywood
but
sign
he's
thing.
So this
he
is
goes
not
to, like,
my crowds are
Wimbledon
bigger
and
than
all
your
that
crowds
stuff.
thing.
He's
This
into that.
is just okay.
One quick announcement. I want to say, as of last week's show, we have surpassed 1 million listeners, based on our AI footage that we've used, thanks to the our friends at the
right.
Kamala and Tim
Our
Walz
AI
campaign.
AI
They-
stats.
Yeah, that's our AI stats.
Okay.
How do you let this guy even close to the nuclear codes? He's having a freaking meltdown. I don't know. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But this isn't the place to talk about. What we're going to talk about, I don't even know. We're going to talk about D23, the Everything Disney convention.
Announcements, yeah.
Had a bunch of announcements, so we'll talk about some of that. What else are we talking about? Todd wants to talk a little bit about Batman, which we saw
Batman,
some
the Cape
of.
Crusader. Yeah.
The Caped Crusader.
Maybe we'll talk about dragons. I don't know.
Maybe we'll talk some
maybe.
about dragons.
I like talking about the dragons of dragons. We can
That's
talk
kind of
are
what I
awesome.
wanted to talk about.
for 2 minutes.
You know, I'm coming to appreciate the dragons. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're in a house. It's a house of the dragons. So
It's a House of Dragons.
Yeah.
And friend of the show, Ryan Condal. Well, not. He did mention my name. I was on their live stream today, so I consider him a friend.
Okay,
Yeah, we're going to call him friend of the show, Ryan Condal,
Yeah.
and he's the showrunner
Dave
over
Mandel always he's mentioned me twice from the chat, or 3 times, and he always says my name correctly, which I'm impressed by that.
there. It's because he's from New York.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's go some random. Barry, what do you got?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the thing I texted you about earlier. So EFX, believe it or not, they're still around. I know that it seems like they went on hiatus for a couple of years, but EFX Collectibles is releasing an interesting item, and I'm not sure yet how I totally feel about it. But so it's a replica of the Empire Strikes Back crew gift that was given out to certain crew members at the end of filming, and it's a miniature snowspeeder model mounted on a plaque that says Empire Strikes Back. And I guess that's what, I don't know if every crew member, but certain crew members got that as a gift at the end of filming. And so they're doing this as a replica, which is kind of cool. And they're doing a limited edition Joe Johnston signature edition of 200 pieces. And then the other, I don't know if they've given out a number, if it's open-ended of how many they're making of the regular edition, but I don't know. It's interesting because I get prop replicas and I get replicas of studio scale miniatures, but replica of a crew gift is something unique.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they're looking for a certain price point, and B, along those same lines, maybe something that can be in the vein of the Spina's
the Regal Robot
maquettes that
stuff,
are in
yeah.
that sort of price point. You know, it's one thing to make a $3,000,
Right.
12-inch
Ship.
snowspeeder, but how many are you going to sell of those? These you could sort of sell a lot, so maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean it's $400 for the unsigned one and $650 for the signed one, which I don't think Joe Johnston's ever done a signing. I'm not aware of him ever doing one.
yeah.
So, what percentage of Star Wars fans have any consciousness of the crew gifts?
Very, very few.
That's what I'm saying. Is this a 5%? Is this a 2% thing?
Now,
It's
they just sold one of those. I think it was Carrie Fisher's crew gift one that
but
they
again,
just
it's
recently
that's what I'm saying.
auctioned
But it's
off.
attached to a specific person. It just
Yeah.
seems odd that just
But
seems
if you
odd.
look at it this way, again,
There's
back
so
to our
many
pal-
props. There's so many set pieces. There's so many things that even obscure things, but are at least on screen. It just seems an odd thing.
Tom Spina Regal Robot sells a lot of those design maquettes, and those are not things that the normal person.
Yeah, I mean those are not.
Knows about, and
they don't
those
look
sell
like the actual characters in
well.
most
But
cases.
they're not replicas of something that specific, very esoteric thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, they are.
They actually
They're
kind of are,
replicas
though.
of
Of maquettes that were made. Like as an example, they recently released a Bib Fortuna maquette, which doesn't look anything like Bib Fortuna, but that's what the design maquette was.
Right. No, but I'm saying that's part of the production. It's not a behind the scenes thing.
Well,
it's not
right. So at least over the years, there have been books and magazines where if you flip through them, you would see the maquettes. I've never seen this crew gift before until the one was in an auction.
That's what I'm
recently.
saying.
Yeah,
I think it's just another level of obscurity. And then if you're conscious of this, wouldn't you be a lot more into trying to hunt down one? Obviously not Carrie Fisher's, but then
because some of that stuff you can get for $650.
Yeah.
Not with Joe Johnston's name
Right.
on it.
I just thought it was an interesting piece because, I get what EFX makes. Like, they make replica lightsabers and replica this and replica. It's a unique thing to go after a replica crew gift.
If they were to do a series of it, that could be interesting, like those Star Wars Lucite things.
Yeah.
And there's a.
I mean,
Joe
as I
Johnston's
said to you,
signature's
Dave,
cool.
I'm glad that it's actually a small item because it's actually something. If it was this big thing, at least I'm starting to appreciate smaller scale items lately, just because the big stuff takes up so much space.
That's a thing. Yeah. Yep.
I'm considering ordering one just because I've never.
Wait, let me ask you this: when's it up for pre-order?
Tomorrow.
Oh, good. Because now, if we put this out, and now you have 6 more people who, or
Yeah.
actually 1 million more people.
Well, now that we have 1 million listeners, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost 50% of my desire for it is purely for Joe Johnston's signature. But I don't know.
see.
Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting item to consider as a collectible. So
Have either of you seen any of the comedians for Kamala thing that was last week?
No, I actually
No.
wanted to join that, but we were recording.
It was pretty funny. I watched the whole. I thought I was going to watch a few minutes. It was pretty funny. But Mark Hamill came on at one point, and he was wearing a hoodie, and he was doing like the Jedi hood
that's funny.
pullback thing.
Oh, that's funny.
But he was talking to another comedian who was saying that they were talking about Frank Oz, and he was saying that it's just like really annoying going out to eat with Frank Oz because he's like eggs I will have. It's like, yeah, we get it. You're Yoda. Okay, just let it go. It's like it was pretty funny. So,
Todd, what do you got?
okay, so a couple Marvel things. Ironheart is still a thing. There was an
That's
Ironheart.
all in the D23 stuff.
Okay, skip that for now.
Well, you brought it up. We might as well cover off on
That's
Ironheart.
all. It's
That's all there is. They're doing
that's all there
something
is.
with it.
It's still a thing. There was
I will say I was equally surprised when I saw that in the list of things they talked about. I'm like, oh, that's still a thing.
I totally was too. Then you're like my next one. Moon Knight is still a thing.
Is it? They didn't.
I didn't
mention
see
did
that
they?
in any of the listings.
Moon Knight is going to be in the next round of What If.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the animated stuff. Okay.
Yeah, not tremendously
I
exciting.
wonder if will someone like him show up in Secret
basically,
Wars?
I'm pointing out the things that aren't worth covering in D2. So just that's why I was okay. Iron Fist still a thing. Going to be in the animated thing.
in what's it in?
In the
I did see that.
yeah. So
It's going to be in what?
in the What If.
Oh, okay.
So
What if Iron Fist didn't suck? What was that other guy? Luke Cage wasn't boring.
Luke Cage season 1 was good. Luke Cage season 2, not
Season 2 was like brutal.
they
Brutal.
did not know what to do, and they went ahead anyways.
Well, and if you think about, and this is not really covering D23 stuff, if you think about it, they were so... It's kind of like the way Lucasfilm felt about the prequels, I think, for the longest time. Like, they were so, like, disavowing all the Netflix stuff that when it came to Daredevil, they were like, nope, we can't have any of those people back. And now that they've had some time to let it marinate, they're like, oh, yeah, all those people need to come back because it was a great
Right.
show.
Yeah.
Did you guys make it through the second season of Luke Cage?
I did.
I didn't.
Okay. There's like a straight up the last scene is like straight up rip off from Godfather Part 2. It's just like it's bizarre. Yeah. No.
I never watched Iron Fist, though. I didn't watch a single episode of that.
I watched a couple episodes. It wasn't great.
I
couldn't get through it.
I watched every episode, and if I could have it removed from my head, I would. So
Okay.
Dave, what do you got?
I'm switching gears. So we're not going to get into it the whole thing. There is a Propstar auction this week, as we record. It's like 4 days.
It starts,
there's a lot of cool stuff.
It
But
starts the day this show drops, right?
I think it starts Thursday.
Is it
maybe?
Thursday? I know it's. I know it's Friday, but yeah,
Is it Friday?
Thursday. You're right. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 4 days.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I texted you, Barry, but they've got an Indiana Jones fedora in there that's just... I don't know what about this. It just, to me, is like... It's the perfect one. It's been in water. The ribbon is all sort of out of shape. It's dirty. I mean, it just kills me that... Had 15 years ago, we probably could have bought those, or 20 years ago. And
Yeah,
it's now
and-
going to go for... Could be $500,000.
Having done a bit of a deep dive into fedoras, they all, from the different movies, they all do look different, and there are sort of tells of each one. But the one that's in this auction, which, while it's from Temple of Doom, looks the most like the one from Raiders that I've seen.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
But
it really does.
But it
check
was
every
warned-
box.
it's screen matched by being on Harrison Ford. It comes from the stuntman. It's just, every time there's one of those hats in, it just like takes me like, why did we not in 1999 buy this shit instead of
what was
not
interesting
affording
too,
it now?
because the guys from the Props podcast were doing some videos, and they did a video with that hat.
Yeah,
And
that's what I saw.
They both have Indiana Jones fedoras, and they were both like, "This one's better than both of ours." Like,
Yeah.
they were like, just looking at it, they could tell it was better
It's just
than the ones
more.
they owned.
Oh, it's great. It's amazing.
It's a
and then
great
out of the
fedora.
Dave, you bring this up. You brought this up a bunch of times about like not buying the stuff when we should have bought the stuff, but as we know from a friend of ours, a lot of it's got to do with being in the right place at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
And we weren't in the right place then.
but we also didn't have the right mindset back then.
Oh, I know
We
that, but I'm
should've-
saying still we weren't adjacent to this stuff in a way that we needed to be to get our hands on it.
I know.
The other thing that we got to keep in mind, the stuff like this hat would never have seen the light of day if for the last
Exactly.
10 years things weren't selling for so much money
Right.
that it's been shaking this stuff loose.
Yeah, but people bought them at some point for tens of thousands, and now they're hundreds of thousands.
But they weren't as good as that one.
No.
I don't think there's ever been one sold that's as good as that one.
Yeah. And then Dave Mandel just put up a video. So he bought from the Stuff Dreams Are Made of podcast, not a sponsor. He won the Indiana Jones shirt that was in a couple auctions ago from Temple of Doom. And he only bought it to go with his jacket, hat, and whip, all from Temple of Doom. And his video today shows him putting it on the mannequin that Speenham built for him. And he's got the hat and the jacket and the whip and now the shirt. I mean, like, that's $1 million piece.
He's just missing
of-
the pants. He just needs pants and like a
it's
bag.
just it's so nice. It's just, to me, I think you could give up everything you have, and we've talked about this, and empty this whole room out and put that hat on a pedestal under glass, and that's all you need in your collection. Anyway, I just thought
Todd
that
doesn't
was-
seem convinced.
I don't. I think.
Would you
feel
trade everything in your room for that hat?
Oh, I would trade everything in my room for that hat, but it's like I don't think that would. I don't know. Yeah.
It's just
From
killing.
a
it's a
monetary
tough-
standpoint, yes, obviously I would do
Oh,
that.
I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about something that is. I just think there's a handful of things that are so like the only thing you need. You know, an original Star Trek phaser, that hat. I don't even know if there's a Star Wars thing because there's so many different things. You know, Luke's lightsaber, but there's freaking lightsabers in every auction, and you're a pussy for not taking it.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Context.
Look at your.
I know. I'm talking about for listeners, maybe. 'cause it's really
No, I don't think I'm allowed to
no
say.
context for listeners.
I think Dave's cutting this out.
No, I'm not. Anyway, so that's. And what other random do you guys got?
I have two quick ones about upcoming things that are not from D23. So, The Diplomat, which I think we all really enjoyed,
Yeah.
season 2 is coming October 31st on Netflix.
Yep.
So that was exciting. And before that, we get Shrinking season 2 on Apple TV. October
What's
16th.
the date on that one?
October 16th.
Oh, good. Yeah, those are both.
Those
good.
are both really good, and some of Harrison Ford's best work outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's good. You know, there's a Vince
I have
Vaughn
never
show coming
watched
out
that. I
this
should.
week.
I'm
Oh, you didn't
always-
watch Shrinking? It was really
Oh,
good.
Shrinkage, regardless of Harrison Ford, is just good. It's funny. There's a Vince Vaughn comedy coming on Apple this week.
Oh, cool.
that looks interesting. He's funny as hell. He was just on Smartless podcast. He's just always funny.
I haven't listened to that one yet.
Yeah. Todd, you got anything else?
You got anything else?
Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine over $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Yep.
So
and well deserved. I might go see it again this week. One of my sons didn't see it yet and wants to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again. I don't know when though.
it's yeah.
You know where you need to spend your $1 billion? Deadpool and Wolverine, Fanboy Collectibles.
That's right.
Yes,
There's
Ryan
tons-
Reynolds.
Hugh
Tons of
Jackman.
hot
You're
toys.
looking for a place to drop some of that Deadpool cash.
He took his kids to a theater not too far from here to see Despicable Me. I actually went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm sorry, we're in the commercial, but Deadpool and Wolverine in the Bedford Playhouse, and they live, I think, right around there. And there's a guy who sets a camera up on the stage, pointed at the audience before the movie comes out. And I'm like, I said, go to Mark and Pam. Ryan Reynolds is going to come out and intro the movie. He did not, because he was at Comic-Con.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But
anyway, back to
he's
Fanboy Collectibles.
Yeah, Ryan, if you got money, Fanboy Collectibles, they're not far from your house. So they got a ton of hot toys from Deadpool. They got Pops and Sideshow and Kotobukias and like Hasbro and all kinds of stuff. Everything you need.
I might have to buy my
if we
first
were to
So-So
say-
Toys
if we were to say-
item.
Ryan Reynolds' favorite collectible shop. Really, Troy's not saying that, right? We're saying that. So
Yeah.
that's not false
Could
advertising.
be.
So
Very well could be.
potentially Ryan Reynolds' favorite.
And if it's
exactly.
not yet, it could soon be.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I was just saying, I might need to buy my first So-So Toys figure based on what they just put up for pre-order today. The
not seeing
legendary guitarist 6-scale figure from So-So Toys.
I didn't know what that was.
that's been a couple days.
Yeah, I just saw it today for the first time. Looks really cool. And
It does look really really cool.
He's playing a Les Paul, which I happen to have a couple of those. So
I got to say, I think I have 3 So-So Toys thing. Clearly means something different in another language.
yeah,
Because they're more than So-So. They're excellent. The not quite Mr. Knight figure is one of the nicest figures I've gotten this year. Probably the nicest figure I've gotten this year. And I think it's every bit as good as the Hot Toys Moon Knight figure. So
all right. Well,
Cool. Check them out. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check them out. Store in Newtown, Connecticut. Ryan, not too far from where you live. Less than an hour. If you want to get in the car, we'll go. I'll go with you.
I don't want to put words in Troy's mouth, but I bet if you called up, he would close the shop down just for you for private shopping.
even show you the warehouse.
Yeah, let me know. Give me a call. You know how to reach us. Check us out on Instagram. Okay. Todd, do you want to talk about your Batman
So
dealio?
for a while now, this has been coming. It was originally going to be on HBO. Matt Reeves, who directed the most recent Batman movie, J.J. Abrams, who did a few things you might have heard of, Ed Brubaker created the Winter Soldier. Basically, everybody involved in this is done really, really awesome stuff. And and of course, Paul Dini, who did the original Batman the Animated Series. So the idea is a different take on Batman, going back to the early days of Batman, and he's learning lessons. He's encountering villains for the first time, but also they're kind of changing things up. And so, because you've been telling Batman stories for 80 some odd years, this gives them the opportunity to kind of like shuffle the deck and do some things differently. And that's it. Came out on Amazon on the 1st, and I paced myself. I only watched 3 episodes a night, get through the 10 episodes. I think it's really, really good. There's some very, very different stuff in here. If you're a purist and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's not the way it's supposed to be, and this isn't that, and this is, that may bother you, but I kind of always look at Batman. I look at Batman at this point kind of like Shakespeare. Everybody who stages it does something a little different, takes the basic story and changes it and adds to the whole. So that's I like I said, I like it. One of you can start talking anytime now.
I watched the first episode. Not necessarily for me, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. Barry?
So I watched the first 2 episodes, and I liked it. I think maybe I need to watch more of it to get to the point where I would love it. But what bothered me a little bit, what bothered me a little bit was there wasn't that much Batman or Bruce Wayne. It was like
there is not.
I was wondering if that was just the first episode, if it got better after the first one.
Like the second episode, as an example, really focused on the female detective, and Batman was like a B player in the story, and I was kind of like,
because
Batman?
They're at this point earlier in this episodes, they're playing on. They're still Batman is still an unknown thing. Okay, in the first episode, Jim Gordon's never actually seen him. Barbara Gordon convinces or confirms that he actually exists from her having seen him. So it's that kind of moves along, and then you'll see kind of these relationships kind of begin to form.
Does he become more involved in the stories as it goes on?
He becomes more involved, and he becomes more involved. You see, obviously the backstory. They don't go too deep into it. You don't see the Wayne shot because you never have to, but you basically, they explore that this guy is emotionally stuck, and that there's a reason. One of the things I really like about it is he doesn't have a warm relationship with Alfred. Alfred is kind of his manservant, but also his kind of guardian, and that evolves over the course of the thing. And this is a young Batman. He's making mistakes. The first scene that you see him in, he almost gets blown up. It's like I said, it's interesting. You've got to kind of like look at this through a lens of, okay, so they're modernizing some things, but they're also setting this in, I think, like a post-war era. People have said 30s, people have said 40s.
It's hard to place, and I know that that's intentional, but that also I found distracting.
I
think some of it felt modern, but some of it felt very
probably
30s and 40s.
It's not late enough or far enough into the 50s that cars became interesting. It's I'm seeing this as somewhere like 45 through 51, somewhere around there.
That's what I took out of it.
Yeah. And Batman himself came out in 1939. It doesn't look like 1939. But lots of Art Deco, and so there are some, again, they modernize things. It's just, I find some of the choices interesting. It's like, there really is no sign of racism. Okay. There doesn't.
Yeah, that's what you would never have.
Right.
Had
absolutely.
A police commissioner who was black. Jim Gordon's black.
Have a world here where racism isn't so much a thing. There is an openly gay relationship, okay, that doesn't, there's no pretext about hiding that or anything like that. And
Penguin was a woman.
But what's that? Well,
Penguin was a woman.
No, but what I'm saying is, but sexism is a thing. So it's not, we didn't cure, like this is not a version of reality where like all the social ills are cured because, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but Montoya isn't being, basically they're Montoya isn't getting back up because she's a woman and they're trying to set her up for failure and stuff like this. It's like, it's interesting. And it's definitely far more adult than Batman the Animated Series. You see people get shot. You see people die.
Yeah.
And in
the second episode, that definitely at the end of it, you see that with Montoya where, Batman gets away and they're like mad at her because she let him get away. But meanwhile, she was really saving somebody else. And
Exactly. The third episode, I really like it's a Catwoman episode, and it's a completely different take on Catwoman. And so, though kind of completely different take, it actually also goes back to the early 1940s introduction of her, where she's more a bored socialite than the more modern incarnation. My favorite Batman story is Year One, by Frank Miller. This is in some ways evocative of that because, like I said, it's a younger, untested Batman kind of working his way through things. I found probably the biggest change was the gender flip with Penguin, but it worked. It was really interesting. And this cast is amazing. I mean, Minnie Driver was the Penguin. Christina Ricci is Catwoman. McKenna Grace is a character later on. Lots of really, really interesting casting, and which you can do when you have people appear for one episode.
Now, was that actor in episode 1 meant to be Clayface? Because they never named him as Clayface.
In episode 2, episode 2, that is Clayface.
Right, because they never named him as Clayface. But
that is they never used the name, and that is Basil Karloff is Clayface's.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Who looked more like Boris Karloff here than he ever has, but again, it was that was an interesting kind of synthesis of different Clayface things they've done over the years, and I thought that was a good episode too. But definitely at least go on to the next one, Barry, because like I said, I liked episode 3 a lot. It's a lot more.
Since you said it's Catwoman, I'll definitely check it out.
It's more fun than the first 2. It's a little less dark and more fun. But anyway, so like I said, I enjoyed it. I will say the first episode I kind of watched and I was like, I'm not really sure here. And as I got worked down along the line, I'll say that this is their interpretation of Two-Face is probably the most interesting spin on him that I've seen in anything. So that's really interesting, and that's an arc that takes place through the whole season. So somewhat evocative of the Nolan treatment, but not wholly that. And so it's good. Like I said, I definitely, if you like Batman, if you like the animated series, it's a different interpretation. It's not taking away from anything. It's its own thing, and there's another season coming.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Check it out. Let us know what you think. Let's go D23. There were a bunch of announcements. Now, that's interesting. I guess you could always be... I think I'm a member. Not like a paying member, but I guess you can get tickets to it by just signing up, right? Something like that.
I think so. I mean, it's one of these things I never really hear about it until it's like, oh, it's this weekend. Like... It's not on my radar at all about like, oh, we should plan to go to this thing. And
I guess it's always in California, right?
I think so. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, though. Like,
I wonder if it's not in Orlando. You would think they would do it there because they announce everything Disney, the parks.
I think it's in LA because they want all the access to the actors.
Yeah, true. Because when I went to Disneyland a couple years at 2018, I was there on the last day of it. It happened to be, it took place and the whole Anaheim area was set up for it. Anyway.
Was it crazy?
It was pretty crazy. I mean, like I was staying at the Hilton Anaheim, which is like right in the heart of it. And there were just people everywhere with this stuff, and I was like, oh boy, I wish I had known this was going on. So yeah, well, and we'll talk about all the things that we know about that got announced, but they also had like limited edition collectibles that whatever didn't sell went up for sale today on the Disney website. That Star Tours thing.
Yeah, so I logged on just to see. And it tells you where you are in queue. I had 55,000 people in front of me in queue. So I just dropped off the website.
Now, are you in queue for a particular item, or are you in queue for just the shop?
Queue for the store, but I knew that with only 3,000, I don't even think I wanted that thing, but I would have bought it if I could. It's really big. I don't think I realized how big it was until I saw like in-person pictures of it.
Well, it's meant to hold like 30 3 3/4 inch figures, right? So
yeah, it's big.
Yeah,
but
there were a couple other exclusives, and there very well could be some freaking, Frozen thing that some people collect that maybe
I'm
online
sure.
for that.
The Star Wars thing that I saw that made me question maybe I should buy that, but I didn't, was the dagger from The Last Jedi.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm sorry, not The Last Jedi. That's The Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I know I remember it. I have not blocked it out of my head. So
yeah, they had a replica of that actually lit up and stuff.
Oh,
and
that's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
even know about that. I would have
Yeah.
bought that. Unless it was like $700.
No, it was like $80. It was like not expensive. Yeah,
That's cool.
that might still be available. I don't know, but
Yeah.
so do you want me to? Because I made
Yeah,
a
when
list.
you go through, I don't know if you have the park stuff.
I have
could
that
follow
stuff
up
too.
with
Yeah,
that.
I kind of put that stuff. Well, you want to do that stuff first? We can do that stuff first.
Yeah, if you want.
So in Disney World, they're going to be building a Villains Land. So they're building a new land onto Disney World in Florida that's focused all on villains, which I thought was interesting.
Is that? I thought that was California. I could be
Nope,
completely
that's
wrong.
Disney World. Disney World.
Okay.
They're also building 2 new Cars attractions in a section of Frontierland. And then Animal Kingdom is expanding to add an Indiana Jones attraction, which is set in a Maya temple, which they said is different from any of the other Indiana Jones rides that they have. I know there's one in California, there's one in Paris, right?
Yeah, they're completely different.
Right.
But I had read, so on the article I read said the vehicle they're using is the same as the Dino USA, which actually is not a bad ride. That ride closed down. I feel like they're pulling elements out of that and making it into Indiana Jones.
That could be.
Yeah, which would be that's awesome that they'll have that ride there.
Yeah, well, it's I never understood why they only had one in the U.S. They only had one in California, and not in. I mean, we always had the stunt
and the
show,
one in Paris is nothing special.
And I didn't really love the one in California either, but
I don't even remember it, to be honest with you.
yeah, it was very herky jerky in a ride vehicle as you're going through. But
It's almost like they took something and just slapped Indiana Jones.
that's what it felt
on
like.
So this would be cool if it's its own thing.
Yeah, and then the last thing in Disney World is they're building in Hollywood Studios. They're building a Monsters Inc. land.
Monsters Inc. land, yeah.
Which will have they said the first suspended roller coaster in Disney.
Yeah.
So.
Which is
I mean,
there's a couple other things.
I remember Monsters Inc. very vividly because it was right at the peak when my kids were watching Pixar.
Yeah, me
and
too.
in the Monster Factory, all the doors were suspended from,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be something like that.
that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. They are definitely. It used to be you could not get alcohol in the parks. They abandoned that a couple years ago.
Well, with Galaxy's Edge, they made it that you could, and I think that
Yeah.
was the first park outside of Epcot where you could get alcohol.
Yeah. Now they're going to make a Pirates of the Caribbean tavern, I guess, adjacent to the ride,
Oh, that'll be fun.
which could be fun. Yeah, there's supposedly a Spaceship Earth lounge that ride could use a couple
Help.
interesting things because it's a little slow, so that's interesting. And then they are also
So, and they're gonna add to Soarin'. They're gonna make a thing called hurling.
hurling, right? Can you imagine that? That'd be funny.
Don't go to the Space Lounge and then go on.
It's just like it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's 2 new rides to Avengers Campus in LA,
Yep,
Disneyland.
they're doubling the size of Avengers Campus.
Yeah, because the
And-
ride, if the rides are the same as they are in Paris, one is good. The other 2 are nothing special. So I think they're making, and I think they sort of say they're making 2 more exciting rides. And the other thing is, they have not done it yet. They are making an animatronic Walt Disney for this whole attraction, like the Life of Walt Disney or something, which could be pretty cool.
Well, and not that any of us will care. In Disneyland, they're also building a new Avatar ride, so they're gonna have a second Avatar ride.
Well, you missed they're going to add Mando and Grogu to
I thought that was going to be the last
Falcon
thing you said.
Smuggler's Run,
Yeah,
which
to
makes no
Smuggler's
sense.
Run.
Okay,
Yeah.
so either this is a spoiler or this is absolutely shameless. I mean, it's like to tie those 2 things together. It's like
Well, but Smuggler's Run takes place. I guess it takes place later. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense Because if you follow the ridiculous timeline that they built for Galaxy's Edge, it takes place
Which is thrown out the window.
In the Rey timeline.
Right.
And Mando takes place well before that.
And that's what I'm
But
saying.
now
So-
Ahsoka's in the park.
and that's
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. I actually think they would be smart to retool everything to that era, to
Or the
Mando era.
universe.
Or just
And-
make it across the universe and don't focus it on.
And let you turn. Like I said, if you turn a block, you get different stormtroopers.
That's
You know,
kind
but-
of what they. I mean, now that they're letting other people in the park, they're kind of doing. But let's.
Can you imagine that they have had Galaxy's Edge now for 7 years? And Darth Vader's not there. How do you not have Darth Vader? Forget Kylo Ren walking around. You need Darth Vader walking around.
Yeah, they really got to retool that. I'm surprised they haven't done that. Anyway, that's all.
Those are the park.
stuff.
That was all the park stuff. They announced a lot. I think I'm only going to focus on the things that I think we care about, and not so much on like Frozen 3 and
Frozen.
Canto.
No, Frozen 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. Incredibles.
I've never
3.
seen any of those Frozen.
Incredibles 3.
I know, that's cool. That's
mean,
the only movie I actually really.
I didn't
would
love
watch.
Incredibles 2. I loved Incredibles.
Incredibles 1 is
2
my favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah, Incredibles 2 was good, but hopefully this... I guess with the Fantastic Four coming out, they felt like they needed another Incredibles movie, but I don't know. I'm happy about
Well,
it.
I don't know if that is. It's probably because why not milk it? It's not like none of these actors are turning down voice work
Well,
in this day
when
and
you
age.
start to see some of these movies, how far they're going with the sequels, I guess it
Despicable Me 4 makes $1 billion. Like,
really... Yeah, I
seriously?
guess it doesn't matter.
And they've
we have
already got Holly Hunter on contract, so
Yeah.
might as well use her. So
We got a date for Daredevil Born Again, March 25th. I don't think we had that prior to D23, right? We knew it was coming, but I don't think we had
We
the
did
date.
not have a date.
Yeah. I was excited about this, and this is silly maybe, but they announced that Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack to Tron Ares. I don't know that we need another Tron movie, but if
I know
Daft,
we don't need
if
another
Daft
Tron
Punk
Okay.
isn't there to do the soundtrack, I'm glad it's Nine Inch Nails.
I liked Tron Legacy better than most. I know Barry, you liked it too, right?
No, I did, but it's been
I will say
15 years or something.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I am really surprised to see this.
But did you like the director's cut? The director's cut of Tron Legacy cuts Olivia Wilde completely out. Now what do you think?
Then I wouldn't so much.
It's no
like
fun without Olivia Wilde.
it, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Nine Inch Nails, good. Tron Ares, we shall see. Avatar 3 has a name. Avatar 3,
Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ash. Not Fire and Ice, Fire and Ash.
A Song of Fire and Ash.
It's got a date, too. December 19th, 2025.
And it'll do $1 billion.
Well, the first two did.
I know. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but
The
it's a
second
thing.
one was unremarkable.
Yeah. I don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
Toy Story 5.
Let's milk this. They're wringing it and wringing the milk out of it.
Well, and so I love the first 3 Toy Story
4.
movies. According to director Andrew Stanton, Woody, Buzz, and the gang will be fighting to stop their new child from becoming an iPad kid.
Okay.
And the quote is, "This time around, it's toys meets tech. It's going to be fun, and we can't wait for you all to see it in the summer of 2026," is what Andrew Stanton said.
That's fine.
Yeah, but you're never
I don't
going
think I
to...
saw anything after Toy Story 2.
I don't think I did either.
Well, my kids were right there in the perfect spot, but...
No, they weren't.
Yes, they
Your
were.
kids for Toy
They were
Story
21
4
then, Barry.
were 30.
No.
The way you were 30 in Willow.
My kids loved Toy Story 1 and 2, and therefore made me go see 3 and 4. Anyway, this isn't about me and my kids.
With their own wives and kids.
Yeah, well, one of these days we'll have Brian on and we'll talk about that movie I watched, and then you have nothing to say about Willow ever again.
I'll have everything to say, but it's scientifically accurate.
According to the poster, it's scientifically accurate, yes. Anyway, Marvel Zombies. 4-part series, animated. Do we need Marvel Zombies? Who knows?
Oh, like from that What If thing?
Yeah, now they're doing
No, it was
four-part-
actually a comic event before that.
Oh,
It really is a what if story, essentially. I have zero interest in this, but
Oh, that's awful.
people love that what if episode.
Well, now they're making it a 4-part series.
What else? I have
Mando and Grogu. They showed a trailer.
Oh, they
Now,
did.
I sent you
couldn't
guys the
find-
link to it because I knew it was going to be gone within an hour. I actually got to see it. It was on
When
YouTube.
did you send the link?
Okay, is there anything in that trailer that wasn't like?
The first
clips
30
from what was-
seconds is all rehashed. The second 30 seconds was all new footage.
Wait, when
That
did you
looks
send
like
that
the
to us?
rehash.
No, Todd. No. Dave, I sent it over the weekend.
I was in Virginia.
Okay.
Okay, what did
So-
we see? Okay, what did we see happen? For those of us who really thought it was just clips, what did we see in the second 30 seconds, Barry?
So, spoiler alert, but at one point you see Mando and Grogu on an AT-RT, which is a two-legged
Saw
thing
that.
sliding
Okay,
down
yeah.
a hill.
Yeah.
And then they get to the bottom of the hill, and there's AT-ATs, and they're fighting AT-ATs, which was really cool. And then we saw at the end of it, Baby Yoda with the two little Babu freaks in the cockpit together. But they didn't show much, Todd. But I'm just saying there was
I know.
about 30 seconds
So
of
I
new
guess I
footage there.
saw all those things. I was looking for like co-stars and like
No, they didn't
I
show
don't think
anything.
you
things
sent
like
it
this.
to me, but that's
I
okay.
think
There-
they
just
only
the-
started filming like 3 or 4 weeks ago, so
okay,
they're
then that's
very
that's
early
what I
in
thought.
production.
It was like
Yeah.
I saw it was like okay, yeah.
They did show, and I looked for it. I couldn't find it. They showed something from Fantastic Four, but I did see the little. They actually did a live or a tape of the 4 actors, and you saw Johnny Storm in his uniform. Oh, Todd, I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Interesting.
Did you see that, Barry?
No, I didn't, but I'll go look for it.
Yeah, it's supposedly it was a teaser, but they only been filming a week, so. But they did show him. He's got blonde hair, and he's in the Fantastic Four uniform.
Okay.
So watch out. Look out for that.
So why don't I'm going to save the Skeleton Crew trailer to the end because that probably requires a little more discussion. But
So
They showed-
curious to see who this Johnny Storm will play in the MCU later.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Because that it seems to be an upwardly mobile career path. So
So the 2 other things that I had was they released a full trailer for Agatha All Along, which
yep.
I'm kind
Yeah,
of.
I-
I mean,
I-
I like Aubrey Plaza. She looks like she's doing lots of acting in this, so
Okay,
she's very
now-
over the top.
You watched
not
this
excited
trailer
about
though,
that
Barry.
at all.
Does she exist for any reason other than like to throw the funny line? You know, it's like she's
No.
got like no one really says anything, and then she just like pops up and says some like
And then she looks at the camera and breaks the fourth wall.
breaks the fourth wall, makes a comment, and then you don't see her again, and then she's like, yeah, and it's just and that happened like the first couple times. I'm like, okay, that's kind of a thing. It happened 4 times. It's like, okay, this is the only thing we've really got. Let's exploit it. Did you know I was in White Lotus? It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. And then
I'm not looking forward to that.
Andor season 2, we didn't really get any a date for it or anything, but I think they showed some footage that I did not find online. But
Yeah.
There's also
and
a-
they don't have a date. Yeah.
a Daredevil thing that somebody posted online with a camera video that got pulled down.
yeah,
quick.
supposedly they showed a clip from that.
Yep, it existed, but I didn't get to it fast enough.
And then they
they
released the trailer for Skeleton Crew.
Wait, let me go back. Did they renew Daredevil for season 2 already?
Yes.
I thought I heard that.
Yes. Which is great. I mean, they must have a lot of faith in it. So
It's not out for 9 months, but that's fine. No, I mean, they probably just. Why not just say yes?
But didn't
It's
they
gonna be
originally
more than
say
one
it was
season.
going to be 24 episodes or something? And now
18.
they've 18. So now it's probably that story's broken into 2 seasons is what I'm
Right.
guessing.
Yeah. And
All right,
basically,
the,
they it sounds like they threw away everything other than like street shots or something.
Yeah.
It's like
All
here's,
right,
an, here's an
sorry, Barry.
establishing shot, and there's Nelson and Murdoch. Okay, everything else goes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Barry. ET in space. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so Skeleton Crew trailer. Some of it looks really cool and some of it, no. But it's weird because, and this is just my take on it. Like, I get that it's Goonies in space, and I get that it's Amblin and whatever. I never really contemplated suburbs in Star Wars, and we're seeing suburbs in Star Wars, and some of the creatures that we're seeing look so cartoonish that I'm a little worried by that. And there's one scene in the trailer where they're walking, there's a hammerhead alien walking down the sidewalk in a suburb, and it hit me that, like, those creatures work best when they're, like, in the shadows, in the dark, in a cantina. When they're in bright daylight walking down a sidewalk in a space suburb, it just doesn't look Star Wars. And it doesn't matter that it's a hammerhead. It does. So I'm hoping that, like, we get off this kid's home planet really quick, and the rest of it's in space with creatures and aliens. And
I worry about the age of these kids. I think there's a certain. You look at Goonies. How old are these kids? Seem like, and I have no sense. 8.
I think there's some. I think they range probably between 8 to 12, maybe.
And I'll go back to something we talked about a couple weeks ago. You look at Super 8. Those kids are 12. 12-year-old kids, at least to me, and maybe I'm not the best judge of children. 12-year-old kids could be interesting to adults, but like 8-year-old kids and younger, it's hard to bring them. It goes from a kids movie to a movie for everybody. To me, I don't know. I
just hope that these kids,
they seem too young,
can act better than the two sisters in Acolyte could act.
Exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah,
that worries me.
I kind of look at this and I feel like this is not made for us. This is another effort to get a younger audience and get them engaged, which apparently they didn't feel they were doing adequately with animation. I don't know.
That's my point of, I think 12-year-old kids, you could appeal to both sides.
So you're saying more Stranger Things than Goonies is what it needed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, or Super 8 versus...
And maybe it will be that, but this trailer didn't sell that.
Those kids look too young to me. I don't know. I mean, no offense to Snice Noodles or whatever.
No, that creature looks terrible. That creature looks
ridiculous.
Terrible.
It looks like a cartoon.
It looked like a stuffed animal head.
Yeah. It's too... Yeah.
It looks like someone cosplaying an alien. I mean, it just...
Yeah. I mean, and I remember in Mando season 3 when those pirates and everything, and the faces looked a little rubbery, but it kind of worked there. And I think it's some of the same pirate characters are going to be showing up in this, because at D23 they had a display of some of the costumes, and it's some of the same pirates from Mando season 3, but not the one that was made out of lettuce. But
I have a question. We potentially won't see Mando and Grogu until 2026. Now, this is the same era.
Yeah, they could show up.
Are they showing up in this?
No.
They could.
No. They could show up in...
Or did they do a Boba Fett?
No, they could show up in Ahsoka. They could show up they're not going to show up in something that's being trial ballooned.
I don't know.
I mean,
they almost have you.
I think you can't use the words trial ballooned here. So think about Acolyte. They spent more on Acolyte than most TV shows have ever spent on a season. And
right. And
they're spending equally amount as much on this. That's not a trial balloon. They have invested.
No, I know that, but I'm saying it is a trial balloon in that they're going out. They're trying to attract an entirely different audience and bring them into the circle. Okay. This is not aimed at the Mandalorian. Do you think it is? You think this is aimed at the Mandalorian audience?
I think Grogu can attract that same young audience that this is targeting.
Who's buying Grogu's besides? Ooh, I almost said 40-year-old men. 60-year-old men. It's 10-year-old kids.
But then, there's a 3-second shot in this trailer of the crab monster that Phil Tippett is animating, which Just show me an hour of that. Like,
I'll tell you, I watched this and I thought and again, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to try it. My 12-year-old nephew who lives and breathes Star Wars, okay, is going to be bored by this. He loves Mandalorian. He loved Ahsoka. He likes Boba Fett better than most people I know.
Except for Barry.
I don't see going down to get that audience is going to be successful. We'll see.
yeah, I certainly, I know I said in last week's show I was, cautiously optimistic, but losing my ability to be optimistic, and this did not help.
So
Maybe all the kids get killed like the Jedi in the Acolyte.
Yeah,
When
the
you're-
stranger shows up and kills all the kids.
when you're 11, 12, 13, okay, 11, 12, 13-year-olds are interesting. 14, 15, 16-year-olds are much more interesting. Okay? 17, 18-year-olds are a point of fascination. You have no interest in what an 8-year-old is doing.
I agree. That's why
Yeah.
I think they're too young.
That's what I'm saying. So this isn't even so you don't have the adults, and you're in a period where you're excluding a whole lot of the audience of children because they're just not going to pay attention to they're not going to watch something about younger children.
And an 8-year-old will watch something with a 12-year-old in it.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying
A
older
12
kids are
that's-
interesting.
But
Older
maybe these kids are supposed
interesting.
to be 12, Dave. They just don't look. I mean,
They
I don't
just
know.
look
Okay,
young.
okay,
I'm just,
but I'm
again,
saying,
I go
but I'm
back
thinking,
to Super 8.
Just
As
if you
adults,
just look at how kids
they pulled it
operate,
off.
okay, younger kids always want to hang out with the older kids. You never get a kid who's 12 who wants to hang out with an 8-year-old. Okay,
that elephant-looking person looked like they were 4 years old
Yeah.
in elephant years. I mean, no, I'm just saying the way the kid
Wait a minute, 4
talk,
years old in
he
elephant years is yeah, okay.
That's no, but that kid looks super young, even in the world of. I don't know. I'm hoping they pull this off. But my other point is, if the next time we see something that is Mandalorian is not for another 2 years from now, they got to bridge the gap.
Well,
You
it's-
cannot
I
go-
agree, but I don't know how they're going to do it.
But this is the era. It did say it's in the time after the fall of the Empire, which is exactly where Mando is. Why set it in that time if you're not
they
gonna
were
connect
doing
it?
that, I think you'd have seen like a silhouette or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm just saying, look at Boba Fett. We're like, okay, Boba Fett, okay, it's boring. Oh, wait, what's these 2 episodes? They don't even fit.
But the other thing that what worked for so many of those Amblin movies was that they were movies about kids, but they didn't totally dumb it down for kids. So if they're going with that model, maybe the characters happen to be young kids, but maybe the story won't be so dumbed down.
Yeah,
that-
but I don't think any of those movies, even way back then, were all young kids. Like, look at E.T. You had a range of
Right.
Drew Barrymore
To-
up to
yeah.
someone who was
Yeah.
17.
But looking at
This
these
needs
kids
to
in
be-
this, I feel that it's the same way, Dave. They're not all totally 8-year-old kids. I think that they were like 8, 10, 12. They were like staggered.
This needs to be more Stand By Me or Super 8 or something like
Yes.
that than Goonies.
Absolutely.
And I don't
and I-
think that's what they're going for. I think
Oh, I
they're
know
going
that.
more for
I
Goonies
agree
and
with
E.T.
Barry. I think somebody's got a sentimental attachment to that, and it's just, yeah,
Who was the producer on most of those movies?
yeah.
I believe
Wait, is
Nick-
this a Spielberg thing?
No, but Kathleen Kennedy was Spielberg's assistant
Jesus.
for all those Amblin movies,
So,
Kennedy.
oh, great, okay, an homage, to
right? I
myself.
mean, that was her job back then.
Yeah,
was
no,
to
you're right. You're right. Okay. Also, like the one shot of the lead actor, we got to do a Jedi cliche. It's just like, really?
They're saying he's a Jedi, though.
I know
Well,
that, but
the
I'm saying-
kid says he's a Jedi. That doesn't mean he's a Jedi.
no,
They said Force user.
yeah. So
I don't know.
I
The
want
crab,
him
the
to
crab
whip out-
monster was the thing that got me most excited, and it was like
I didn't
3
even
seconds.
remember seeing the crab monsters.
It
to be
goes
honest
by
with you.
in a half a second, but
I want to see Jude Law just youngling them out with his red lightsaber, and we move on.
like the second scene of the first episode, just be like,
Imagine the
wait a minute.
poor Carrie Ann Moss bought it in
Or-
the first scene.
maybe when
wait a
they
minute,
get to
order,
wherever they're
order 66, whoosh,
Or maybe they're going to run into Grand Admiral Thrawn and his troops will take the kids out.
That's it.
I mean, he's back now in that universe, so who knows?
You never know.
I
Anyway.
wasn't super. I was not. My
You're
fears.
not, quietly optimistic.
My
or
fears
whatever
were
you
not
always say.
put to rest by watching this trailer. No,
Well, we have another
couple months.
4 months. December
I'm going to
3rd.
throw one other thing at you. Okay. I don't think what we just got was what they said we were going to get. So I don't think we really know what this is going to be till we get it.
Well, they showed footage last year at, I think it was Celebration. And in that footage, supposedly, there was a lot more about their parents and them at their jobs and trying to get people to help them find the kids. And I don't know, maybe they've completely re-edited this thing, or maybe there's just a lot more to it that we haven't seen yet.
Or maybe
So
they're
are
this
these
round. They're
kids
looking
all
at,
like 17 now at this point then? It's like, so they can't film a second
Yeah,
season? of
season
this?
2 has a time
Well,
jump.
they shot this 2 years ago. I
Okay,
think.
yeah. So they're screwed. You know,
Maybe it'll be the best Star Wars ever.
it could be.
Well, maybe
It
it'll
could
be the best Star Wars in a little while. Anyway, definitely not the best Star Wars ever. I don't see how that could possibly happen.
You never know. What if it is?
I would be thrilled if it was, but it won't be.
Better start buying props from it now. You never know.
You never know.
I'm telling you, Andor is for the adults. This is on the other end of the scale, and that's what they're doing. They're saying Andor is not for kids. Here we have something for kids.
But it is so confusing because their animated stuff isn't really for kids either.
Oh, I know that. That's what I'm saying, Barry. I'm saying this is going to be, here's Star Wars for kids. And
Maybe.
But
it's
you know
not.
what?
Who
Which
knows?
we didn't even talk about, which I wasn't going to bring up, but I'll bring it up. They've got a Lego series that is like Darth Jar Jar, and it's like completely off the rails. And that to me, that's for kids.
Oy.
But there's I forget the name of it, but it's like Build the Galaxy or something. It's like a Lego Star Wars series.
All right, we got to move on.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on this? We're moving on.
That's
We're
all
moving
I
on
had.
to what's in the box, I think. Unless were we going to talk about dragons? Do we care?
let's just throw a couple minutes at it.
I like all the dragons.
I like the dragons. I
Barry,
gotta
what's in
say,
the box?
I
No.
I am really warming to this show. I did not last season. I was
Warming, it's over.
no,
Well,
I'm
it's 2 more
saying
years.
It's over until they bring it back. I like that it's a much simplified storyline from
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Okay, I like that they try to work in at least a couple action scenes, in occasionally, so you get to see, some cool dragon on dragon stuff. It's not as talky. I think it's been somewhat predictable, but I think it's a whole lot easier to follow.
It's not as exciting and as water cooler
Not as
buzz
shocking.
worthy.
It's not that.
and that's
it
fine.
doesn't have that big kind of sweeping thing. But I also feel like they're not abandoning.
You couldn't
plot
figure out who
lines
the
and
hell was who in
characters.
that other stuff.
I there were a few things this season. Like I said, I really liked bringing back the first season actors. The younger version of her and the deceased king for those flashbacks. I thought that was
Yeah.
really, really interesting. Yeah.
I like it a lot. I mean, I think my problem with it is if I'm not watching it with the subtitles on, I have a hard time following some of the dialogue, and I still, 2 seasons in, can't
Really?
remember half of the characters' names.
Well, all the freaking names sound the same. Okay.
I know.
I know.
They all begin with an A or an R.
Aegon, yeah, or...
Aegon
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his brother. I don't know which is which. I got you.
Actually, I said eye patch guy. It's
That's who I say.
Yeah,
I
I say
patch
that
guy.
too. I like it a lot, but I agree with everything you said. It's more straightforward. It's easier to follow. The story is good. I get what they did with the season finale. I kept waiting for the fighting to start, and I guess they just want to build it up, and all of next season's going to be the war. But
Yeah.
but
Because the reality, unfortunately, that we know, and especially they did announce the next prequel that comes. So I think this is 180 years before Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Then there's one that's 100 years before Game of Thrones. But there's no more dragons. So And we know in Game of Thrones there's no more dragons, so this is sort of it.
I did find it interesting that we got to see the dragon eggs that will show up later. That will
in his dream. Yeah.
Daenerys will end up with, and for having no connection to that, they've managed to connect it to, the Game of Thrones quite a bit. But I thought and I actually thought Matt Smith's character Daemon, I thought his arc in this was interesting. It took a long time, but I thought it was.
It took way too long. I agree with you. It took
but
a
also
while.
we tied into the mythology of Harrenhal being haunted, and you really thought that witch was manipulating him in one way, but when the reality was she was taking him back to what he needed to see to understand what he had to do. And I like I said,
I was shocked he didn't end up sleeping with her.
Yeah, I kind of was too. But I also feel like I said, they ended this. I don't say as a cliffhanger. They ended this like a good kind of chapter ending. It's like it's like end of book 2 kind of thing. They're they didn't leave it. You didn't have a gasp moment, but you had, I'll put it this way: all the pieces have been moved onto the board. And
Allison just needs to get a sword to the back of the head. She screwed up everything, so this is all her fault.
She did. I do like what they. I do like how they're really giving the dragons like different personalities and showing all the dragons and how you that's all interesting. And they're cool that they're all very different.
And the dragons look fantastic.
Yeah,
all the money.
I like Sea Smoke and
I also like that it's handling these things is not a it's not a given. It's not going to go. The scene where they brought the knight down who had noble blood, and the dragons set fire to him and 2 of the dragon handlers, and one of the dragon handlers just reflexively pulled his knife and cut his own throat.
Yeah,
as he was engulfed in flame. And he just knew rather burn it than burn to death, he was better off to cut his own throat. I was like, Jesus, that it was interesting. It was really, like I said, I thought it was well done.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it. I think they've said 2 more seasons and it's done.
Two more seasons. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's good. Okay, let's go. What's in the box, Todd? I don't think you.
I don't have anything,
something?
so you guys go.
Barry, what do you got?
So you talked about the big Heritage auction, and we know from listening to the Props podcast that Dave Mandel did not win the Y-Wing.
I was very surprised by that.
So I want to show
you won it.
I bought a Y-Wing, but it's not that one. It's an actual vintage Kenner Y-Wing. I never had one of these. This is one of the ships I never had. So, and it's big. I mean, this is actually a really great ship. It's actually got a bomb down on the bottom that drops. It's got landing gears that you can raise and lower. I haven't put batteries in it yet, but the seller told me it was tested and working, that the sounds and lights work. And then the seller also included a really cool stand. So I can actually display it in flight. And I got all of this for a very reasonable price. I did the deal with him on my way to the airport as I was leaving town a couple weeks ago, and it was waiting for me when I got back. And it's really cool. So while it's not the studio scale 100, what was it, $1.5 million?
No, it's not. Barry, what year is that?
This was from Return of the Jedi, so 82, 83.
Yep. Cool. Beautiful shape.
So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's in really good condition, and I got figures to put in it, so I'm very happy with it. So
I was shocked that he didn't win that. I really thought he had, but I don't even think he'd been on it.
No, it sounds, listening to his that podcast, sounds like he just chose not to even bid on it, so he's got enough stuff.
I really want to see a tour of his condo.
I know, that would be pretty awesome. But anyway, Dave, what's in the box?
I have, and I think our pal Brian let us know this was coming up for pre-order, and I ordered it. The Enterprise from Cat's Paw.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize they shipped those already.
Yeah, I just got it the other day. So this is Factory Entertainment made this. So it's a machined aluminum Enterprise, and it's encased in acrylic, and it looks exact replica of the one from that episode, and the original is in the Smithsonian.
So does the original hang that same way, or is it?
Yeah, it's a little like that. I don't know.
I gotta go back
it
and look at
hangs-
that episode. I thought it kind of hung.
Well,
even.
here's a picture from Catspaw on the box.
Oh,
so
then that's how it hangs. They got it right.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
A little booklet that came with it. It doesn't really show. But yeah, I think it was $100 or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
You know, the other thing I want, just to update something we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Tomy Star Trek The Motion Picture Enterprise that is up for order now. I watched a video with one of the guys from Tomy. They completely re-engineered this one to any place where there would be screws visible. They built in panel lines and caps that are shaped like panels. So I guess their claim that there's no visible screws is actually because they've capped them with things that look like part of the plating of the ship. So they definitely took a lot of feedback, I guess, from the first one. So that one looks pretty cool. There's still, it was interesting, the pictures that they're showing online, there's no supports for the saucer. But the one that they had at that Star Trek convention in Vegas had two supports on the front, and they said they're hoping to engineer it so that they won't need them, but they're still not saying for sure. They were just black rods, though, which actually were a lot less conspicuous.
Looked way better.
Yeah. But
that's probably something we should have done.
I haven't decided to order it yet, but if I do order it, I'm hoping that there won't need to be supports on the front of it. So anyway, that was just a little update on that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
Have you seen what do these sell for more than what we paid for them?
I haven't
I don't know.
Interesting
I
to
haven't
see.
looked them up. Interesting. Yeah, they're selling for $50.
I was just going to say, I'm wondering whether you should buy one on spec. I just don't have room for this thing. I just don't have room.
That's my biggest concern. That's why I
Wait.
haven't
You're
ordered it
saying
yet.
for the one you have, or for the
No,
next
I'm
one?
I'm saying if these things are going for like twice what they went for, the second one would be at least in that, at least half that. So, yeah, no.
It's just
I
nice
keep
that
thinking
they've...
I could
that
put
they've-
one on each of the top of these two cabinets. It would just look really cool.
It would.
Yeah.
There is clearance to do both of those.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll see. I'm hoping that they release some more information before the deadline is to order it.
Yeah. Well, we'll check it out.
Barry, what more
All
do you
right,
need to know? I mean, it's like the shuttle bay is stuffed with,
what do you
with 20s.
need to
I mean,
know?
I really don't want it to require supports on the front.
okay. That's what I was wondering. I was wondering what your sticking point was.
That, and I've got to figure out where the hell I would put it.
They're not going to answer that
they're
for you.
they're
That
not
they
gonna
can
help you with
answer.
that.
But I'll feel better about finding space for it if I know it's not going to be front heavy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
We covered a lot of ground. Let us know about any of this stuff you think about. Ryan, check us out on Instagram, rjpodcast.com or whatever it is. What is it?
Yeah.
At RJ Podcast.
At RJ Podcast.
And we'll go fanboy together. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.